Today we have the honor of introducing you to an Anoka County case manager. She is going to tell us of what her day-to-day job is like and some of the everyday career and some of her everyday career that she faces. Steps that people must take to get on to the waiver program, and all of the other services that are available to somebody on the waiver program. We hope that by you watching this video, it will be beneficial for you and educational for you. Due to social distancing, the interviewee will not be shown, or the interviewer will not be shown on camera, and the interviewee will wear a mask throughout the interview. We hope that you will find this educational and beneficial, as we said earlier. If you feel like you want to share this interview out over your social media, we would invite you to do so. Please also remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell to select to all notifications, and we hope that you enjoyed today's video. Okay, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I am Rosie Jensen, and I work for the nonprofit Accord and am contracted to do Anoka County case management.
Okay. How long have you been a CADI worker?
I've been a licensed social worker in the social service field for almost 30 years, but I've been a CADI case manager for 5.
Okay. What does the acronym CADI stand for?
So I get that question a lot. It stands for Community Access for, even though there's no F in it, Disability Inclusion.
Okay. What do you have to do to be a case manager on the CADI waiver program?
So to be a case manager, you don't need to be a licensed social worker like I am, but they do prefer that. But you need to have a 4-year college degree. They prefer, social services, psychology, social work, sociology. But if you don't have that, if you have a 4-year degree with then, experience working in the social service field, but you do need a 4-year degree to be a case manager.
Okay. What kind of qualifications do you have to be on the CADI waiver program as a client?
As a client, in order to be on the CADI waiver, you need to be certified disabled, and that can be done in 2 ways. If you are already receiving Social Security, the federal government has deemed you disabled. So if you're already receiving Social Security, you're deemed disabled, you can call the county that you live in and apply for the waiver. However, if you are not receiving Social Security, if you have applied for Social Security, which to get Social Security disability, people are denied for years and years and years, you have to apply and go through, you have to be SMRTed, which is the State Medical Review Board. And they review basically your medical forms, and they can deem that you're disabled. So probably half the people on my caseload are SMRTed, half the people receive Social Security. So you have to have one of those 2 things And then you have to have medical assistance as well, because then that's how your services are billed through your medical assistance.
Okay. And so then number 5, is the CADI waiver a federally funded program or just a state funded program?
Well, that's a $64,000 question, but it's a little bit of both. So the feds give money to the states, and then the states divvy it out basically to the counties. So it's kind of both. I mean, the state oversees it, but it's federal and state funds.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
6, what made you want to become a case manager? Did your previous jobs lead you up to it at all?
So for years, I helped run an ILS company and did that, and I enjoyed seeing people, and I enjoyed managing people, but it was difficult hiring people for $12 an hour. So I decided it would be good to be able to manage, a caseload and more of a 9 to 5 job, and I could probably help more people directly, but definitely doing ILS, seeing people directly, managing people, definitely helped my ability to be a case manager.
Okay. And 7, what are some of the skills that you feel are important to being a good case manager?
I think the most important skill is to be a good listener and to understand where people are coming from, not come in and be like, all right, this is what I think, and this is what the papers say, and this is what you need. I think listening and understanding, but yet a part of being a case manager, a lot of it is paperwork, so you do have to stay on top of it, because you want to make sure, the providers that are doing the service are getting paid. So you have to keep on track with the paperwork, but I just think listening to people is one of the most important things.
And what are the most challenging aspects of your job, in your opinion?
Let me see. Maybe the paperwork again. No. Paperwork, keeping track of 50 people's paperwork can definitely be a challenge. It can be a challenge, like right now through COVID, people are given the chance to do visits remotely, but it can be a challenge of, like, smoking really bothers me, and somebody's house might be all full of smoke, and it's definitely challenging, or it's challenging to, go into a house that is, really, dirty, and that's the way, they want to live, but it can be challenging for me to, sit on a couch full of dog hair, but I need to do that because I'm in their space. But to me that's challenging. So
okay, let's do number 9. Why are there so many different services available, and how do you decide what services a client qualifies for? For example, there are in-home services, PCA services, and ILS services. How do you decide what will fit the client best. Can you explain more on the services and the different types of services?
Yes, there are a lot of services. The PCA amount, the assessor that once a year does the min choices assessment, they decide how many PCA hours a person gets. So the PCA hours are more the physical assistance that somebody needs. So, and that's done by the assessor, but there can be some flexibilities. Like I just had a lady who's in her 70s and broke her ankle. She's going to need, more physical assistance for added to her PCA because things she was doing now she can't. So PCA is kind of black and white from the assessment. All the other services available, the case manager and the client basically from that assessment, from the min choices, try to find services that will meet the person's needs. So say, in the assessment they're needing support with home management, ILS, or now they've changed the acronym to IHS, can help fulfill that need. And there are a lot of services, and the state seems to every year kind of tweak the wording of them and what they can do and what they can't do. But you basically try to work with the person to see what they need and what they're wanting. Like some people don't want a bunch of people coming in their house. So they might, I might say, it would be really smart for you to have a lifeline because you're a fall risk, and they're like, no, I don't want that. So there's services that people still can just say, I don't want that.
Okay. Why do we're gonna go to number 11, Rosie.
Okay.
Okay. Why do clients get random new case managers? What is the reasoning behind that?
I would say just overall in social services, there's been a big, expansion of people needing social services, and that there's just been a big turnover of staffing because people are changing jobs or people are wanting a job that makes more money. Because typically you don't get in this field to make money. So unfortunately there's a lot of just change in staffing, and it's hard for people, but I would just say people should advocate, and to their supervisor that's difficult for them to make changes.
Okay, I missed the question.
Okay, no problem.
I'm gonna go back. What are the most rewarding parts of your job, in your opinion?
Getting to know people, getting to know their families, trying to help them live the way they want to live and to be successful and happy and healthy.
Very good answer. Okay, we're gonna go to 12. That would be... Okay, number 12 is, what are the biggest challenges you've seen in the field from the time you started to today?
Well, when I started in this field, there wasn't a computer really, or there was just one computer. So I would say the biggest change is how much computers, even on the direct care end to case management, everywhere, just computers are just such a part of social services, where it used to not be that way. It would just be, a little book, you know what I mean? So I would say the biggest change is technology.
Oh, yes. It's a growing thing.
Yep.
Okay, number 13. It's kind of a long question.
Okay.
Gaining access to programs like the CADI Waiver and other social service programs can be very challenging from time to time. Is there any advice you would or you could give to people to make it easier for them?
Well, when a person wants to get on the CADI waiver, they need to kind of call the front door or the main access for the waiver at the county, and you call and you request an assessment, but you could maybe call to see if there's cancellations, because they're backed up, because more and more people are wanting it, but things happen, people cancel, you know what I mean, people have openings. So my suggestion, not to be calling that number daily and getting on the annoying list, but just, see if there's any cancellations, I would really
be persistent.
Yes. That's a good word, Chris.
Yes.
Be persistent.
Yes. Are there, and that number is called what number, Rosie?
It's called the front door.
Is it also referred to as the common entry point?
Well, the common entry point is for reports for vulnerable adults.
So like adult protection?
Yes,
right?
like adult protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
but if you just call the main phone number at any county that you live in and say, I want the phone number for waiver programs.
okay,
They'll probably transfer you. So, because every county will have kind of their own number. But yeah, common entry point is for vulnerable adult reports.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that. 14. Here's a fun question.
I know. I'm like, ooh.
What are 3 things you would change about your job if you could, and why?
Oh. I would probably change that I wouldn't have to worry, about how much I billed. I would change, not having to worry about changing strange wording that the state changes like year to year. Like now under case management, we have to say the person agrees to have these services, where before the wording was the case manager will support and coordinate services. Like I don't know, I get rid of little lingo that doesn't help people, because I'm more of a helper than a paperwork person. This is kind of 3.
Yeah. Good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough for government work, as they say. We're going to go to 15 now.
Okay.
Some companies measure accomplishments in their clients' goals based on a percentage, while other companies just generally write goals out and don't measure the accomplishments in a percentage. Which one of these do you prefer, and why?
Well, some of the companies do the percentage, because this is a state thing too, where they've been said that goals or outcomes need to be measurable. So then that's where a lot of these percentage comes. But yet if a person's like, I just want to, stay living in my home, or somebody who has ALS and, has all these severe health problems, they just want to stay in their home. And to me, that's measurable. But some people who are really concerned about paperwork want to have a percentage so it can be measurable. So I'm not too much of a percentage person. I'm more of it's something they want to do, and it's, they can do it or not.
Yes.
Or it's happened or it hasn't. But that's where the percentage comes, is the state wants things measurable.
Right. 16. Are you ready for this?
I am. Woo!
Today, companies are aiming for that favorite word of Rosie's, person-centered planning. Okay? So, to try to make the best possible experience for their clients, what do you think are some things that some companies do better for person-centered planning than others?
I just feel like companies and or people, or especially people, you can be empathetic and understanding towards somebody. You can do all the training in the world, and if you don't make a commitment to hear and understand and emphasize what they're, going through, then you're just checking boxes. And, yes, it's very important to be, it's about you, it's person-centered and working together as a team, understanding what's important to a person, what's important for a person, and, coming together, for a plan. But
Cool.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Does that answer it, kind of?
Cool, yes.
All right.
Okay. 17. What do case managers do with the monthly reports that are sent to them from an ILS company? And how?
Does that fit into a client's program?
So, well, this
Hang on. Go ahead.
I can mention too on how COVID has maybe changed things. So now all the reports are done electronically, which is actually a good thing. Saved a lot of trees, way easier to keep track of. So nowadays they're all saved in the person's electronic file. Like 5 years ago, you'd print it, you'd file it. You know what I mean? So this is the way nowadays, especially since COVID, things are just, they're in the person's electronic file. So if I need to refer to it, it's there, or if I don't need to refer to it, then I know where it is. So.
Okay. 19. Oh, 18. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Do you see the demand for services from somebody in your field going up as opposed to maybe 5, 10, or 20 years ago? If so, why?
I do see the demand for services going up. Kind of two things. I feel like kids are getting diagnosed and having more and more mental health problems than, say, even 20 years ago. And maybe it's just better diagnoses. I'm not sure, but there's definitely way more younger kids in the field. And I feel like, especially with COVID, people who maybe weren't have mental health problems are having even more mental health problems, which then can maybe get them into the system. So
Okay.
those are two reasons why I see the demand for the waiver going up.
Okay, now we're gonna go to 19, right?
All right.
Right, producer? 19? Okay. And then, have you ever had a client, I'm gonna start again. Have you ever had to work with a client that does not have a home? What are the biggest challenges you faced with that?
I have worked with people that are homeless. it is challenging, you know, just in a personal sense. It's hard to see somebody homeless, but it's also challenging, like, the waiver per se doesn't pay for rent, it doesn't pay for a home, but it does pay for, like, a group home where there's, you know, services on site at a house. And some people just don't want that. Some people don't want a group situation, and it's been challenging where I would try to find services at a home for the person, and the person didn't want that, wanted to just stay living homeless in and or in a shelter, and it was challenging just to learn to accept that that's, you know, what the person wanted, and sometimes you can't solve everybody's problems.
Oh. And I would imagine that that's got to be difficult for you.
Yeah. It is.
So now we're going to go to 20. Do you think the requirements should be more stringent or rigorous to get on social service programs so that you don't have random people stopping into the county claiming that they need services when they actually really don't?
No, I feel like if people get services, and even if that prevents like 1 or 2 ER visits, like, the money is going to be made up from them not going to the emergency room for a mental health problem if they're getting ILS and some Meals on Wheels and like a nurse visiting them. So, and the county's got some pretty good things set up, making sure they are on medical assistance, and that recently they changed that they can check not just the state they live in, their funds, but other states, where years before, like, they would only check, have access to check state bank accounts. So you could have, you know what I mean, $20,000 in Iowa and say, oh yeah, no, I only have $2,000. I'm eligible for this. So I feel like they've gotten better at checking amounts, and I just think services are way better and cheaper than emergency room visits.
Okay. Air brakes. Okay, so we're gonna go 21. As the demand for services is growing with something, as the demand for services is growing, what are some things that you think the federal government can do to ease the strain on the system, or the state government can do to keep the people at the current service level that they're at now?
Well, I just think they have to keep, the same amount of funds coming in, and I think, people on both sides of the aisle, it seems like it's something at least most people can agree on is, helping people with disabilities. So I just think having, standards of this is how you get a waiver, and this is what it looks like, and these are the criteria, and make sure there's enough funds in the system to cover it.
Here's your favorite question of the day, Rosie.
All right.
How does COVID-19, how has COVID-19 affected your job?
Oh, well, we don't want to be here all day, but obviously I work from home 100%. So it's affected my job. I don't see people face to face. and I don't really see my coworkers other than over Zoom or Google Meets. Just, a lot of things are done remotely, and a lot of people are more isolated because they don't want people coming into their homes if they were concerned, about COVID-19. But as I said, there's some good things, like electronic paperwork has gotten much better, and I figured out computer skills that I didn't know I had. So, like with most things, you just, you got to adjust to make it work.
Okay, here's an additional question that I'm just thinking of now.
All right.
With the COVID-19 situation, do you think that working electronically is here to stay? Or do you think that one day they will let you go back to what it was before COVID?
I don't think things will ever go back before COVID, but I think that they will, let people meet face to face if both sides are comfortable with it. But, people that have proven that they can work from home, why make them drive a half an hour in a snowstorm when, they've proven they can do their job effectively at their house, so then it's a win-win situation. So I no matter where you work, I don't think things will ever go completely back the same, but how it looks in a year, who knows?
Here's probably going to be another popular question.
Ooh, okay.
For you. Okay. 23. If you were to ever leave being a CADI worker, we would miss you. But what would you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that she was kind, and you can't see my smile, but I'm a smiley, happy person, and, I was there for people when they needed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now the next question, Rosie, is what are your favorite memories or proudest moments of being on the job?
Ooh, I don't know, helping people live independently and helping people find housing and being able to live the way they want to live, but it's hard to say. Just getting to know people.
Okay, cool. That's really, I'm really learning a lot today.
Good.
From this interview. So, 26. Has there ever been a client that has had services but now no longer needs services? Example, winning the lottery or other means, like maybe they went to college and graduated with a degree or something. And
well, I have had people that do have a college degree that still do have the waiver, but I've had a number of people who they've decided that they want to work full time and they feel like they're in a spot to do that, so then the income requirements, they no longer met the CADI waiver requirements, and they were fine with that. I have had a couple people move to different states, like, and that was another thing I was going to mention with this, like the CADI waiver would transfer to other counties within Minnesota, but it doesn't transfer to other states. So if you move like South Dakota or North Dakota
or Alabama,
see, not all states have the CADI waiver. So even if it does have the CADI waiver, like Wisconsin does, but your it doesn't transfer with you. So I've had a number of people who moved out of state, but some people just ended it due to, they don't feel like they need it, and financially you have to meet the criteria. So if economic assistance says you're no longer on MA, it doesn't matter what I say. You have to meet that requirement. Ooh, but I think, Chris, you missed your favorite one, 25.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yes. How would you fix the metro mobility issue?
It's the one you added. I would say, like with most things, if there's competition or a competitor, things usually would go better. And metro mobility is the only, it's the only option for people. It's not like you have metro mobility and First Star Ride, let's say. You have, that's your only option.
Monopoly.
Yes, a monopoly, yes. So I just think if there were more options for people, it would improve the service of metro mobility and the service for people who need to rely on metro mobility. Because as I say, it would be really hard to rely on my life for my job via metro mobility.
Yeah.
Now, I heard a few years ago that they were going to talk to Uber drivers and sign a contract. Whatever happened to that?
I'm
Do you
not
know?
sure. There's some talk that certain vocational companies, they're going to be able to build Lyft, is the latest talk. So I don't know
Okay.
if that will happen. So that would be a nice first start, but nothing's happened for sure with that. There was
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
That's very very good information to know. In addition to the question the new one I just asked,
Mm-hmm.
do you talk to workers around the state of Minnesota? In like different counties?
Not really. I mean, normally there's a conference once a year, the MSSA. That's a statewide conference for social services, but of course it was done virtually.
Right.
So,
I'm just the question that I'm trying to ask here is: do you notice or have you heard of there being more of an issue in the rural areas with transportation, or is it pretty much the same all over?
it's like definitely worse in the rural areas. I mean, there is no metro mobility. I grew up in a small town. There's, there is no metro mobility. I mean, so even though it's not perfect, at least it's an option. Where in rural communities, you don't have the option of a city bus. You don't have the option of metro mobility. You have your family. Yeah, you've got nothing. So.
Is there anything else that you would like to add to this interview that you feel you didn't get a chance to? Maybe you would like to talk about Accord.
So I work for a nonprofit, as I said, and I've worked for a nonprofit my entire life. Anyone who, hopefully if you learned something about this interview, but if you ever have questions, you should just feel comfortable reaching out to your case manager for any questions. Not that they know all the answers, but hopefully they can lead you in the right path, getting the answers.
It's very important. So as we said in the beginning of the interview before we started, we have had the honor of talking to a county case manager today. She has given us some wonderful information which will hopefully be able to lead people that are looking for services down the right paths. We hope that this has been a helpful video for you. We would invite you to like, subscribe, and share so that we can spread awareness about this very important issue. Thank you, Rosie, for coming out and doing the interview with us.
You're welcome.
It's been real great. Have a good, we would like to close by saying that we hope that this interview was beneficial for all of you. If you can share it with somebody that'll help them get into the services that they need, or your loved ones, that would be greatly appreciated. We hope to see you again for the next video coming up real soon.
Or I'm sure they're hiring too.
Yeah.